Welcome to Charter Local Edition. My name is Brad Pomerance in Riverside County today, and we are joined by Mark Takano. He is a member of the U.S. Congress, currently serving as the ranking member on the Veterans Affairs Committee. Who says print journalism is dead? The Los Angeles Times broke a story recently that literally has gripped the nation, and specifically those that are veterans and supporters of veterans. What we know is that about 10 years ago, the California National Guard and possibly other states' National Guard offered retention bonuses that appear to have been improper, but now, despite the fact that the soldiers didn't know they were improper, they're being clawed back. How did you hear about this, sir?
Well, I was made aware of it broadly by this LA Times article. And have learned a lot of things subsequently.
Right.
But, you know, first of all, I want to say that we do know through the National Guard Association that overpayments were made in other states. It's not just a California phenomenon. Although in California we do have the largest National Guard, and we do believe that it's probably the largest number of guardsmen and women affected. I don't believe as extensive audits. Thorough audits have been conducted in all the other states, so it may be a bigger problem than we think.
Congressman, the situation to me seems so dire for some of our vets that it's hard not to be angry about it. What we know today is that apparently because of the time in 2006 where deaths were increasing, it was hard to keep folks in the military. So there was this push to get folks to sign on, and bonuses were given, apparently improperly. There were guilty pleas, criminal pleas, because of the improper bonuses. But that's not the enlisted's fault. That's not the soldier's fault.
That's precisely correct. I think that there was misconduct by the recruiters at the National Guard here in California. At least one individual went to prison for 30 months. Two others were on probation. They've had to make restitution. I'm sure they were paid incentives as well. But there were there was a lot of pressure, and there were ambitious goals, recruiting goals, and there was dire need in our military, which is no longer on the draft. It's all volunteer. So they were paying these incentives. I believe the vast majority of our California Guardsmen and women who re-upped or enlisted in good faith. They re-upped in good faith. They should not have to pay for the misconduct and mistakes that were made by recruiters and administrators of the program.
But what's so stunning about these facts is that not only are they being asked to repay, but they're being charged interest. They have been threatened with debt collection. There are those that are putting second mortgages on their house. Some of the bonuses dealt with student debt.
Yes, I think some student debt was loan payments were made.
And
yes.
So this is causing such dramatic ramifications for men and women that fought for us.
It is a travesty. I was angry when I found out about it, and I think it's regrettable that Congress did not act sooner.
And let's talk about Congress, because, look, again, I'll say it, who says print is dead?
Yeah.
Because but for the Los Angeles Times, this story probably would not have gotten the sea legs it's received. What we do know is there had been lawsuits filed, even a class action. There were letters written by vets. There were letters written by members of Congress. There were various bills dropped at various times. But it was only through this front page story that everything kind of solidified and the facts were clear.
Yeah, well, that's right. I think it's still this clearly shows the role of a diligent, robust press to hold a government accountable and to inform citizens. And when citizens are accurately informed, it can galvanize, force the attention of Congress. I will say that I think the big drag, the overall big drag on action on Congress has been this extreme philosophy of austerity, where every new spending has to find an offset. And I am all on board with it. we got to be careful about spending and bring our deficits under control and the national debt. But look, Congress spent months and months dealing with Zika funding. Zika is an emergency to our public health, and if we don't, it could be far more expensive later than taking care of it now. But and I want to get back to our veterans.
Please.
So the same thing applies to our veterans. Americans, I think, would rank protecting our veterans right up there with preventing Zika from spreading. I mean, and especially knowing the harm that would come, financial harm that would come to the family, the stress that families experience, having to refinance their homes to pay back these bonuses. Nobody believes it's fair 8 years after the fact to claw back a bonus that they were ineligible for, and that they didn't know they were ineligible for, and that they believed they were eligible for by signing up to serve our country in good faith. If we have to swallow $700 million, $250 million to make sure that we don't claw back these bonuses, and that and more importantly, that we go find those people who made the sacrifices, who took out the second mortgage to pay back those bonuses, I think they should be paid back.
So here's the challenge. What we know as we speak is that the Defense Department has put clawbacks on hold. So that's a stop.
Secretary Ash Carter has suspended the clawbacks.
But what about, like you just said, the folks that succumb to the threats of debt collection? They're already in refinancing. They're already having wages garnished.
Yeah, that needs to not only stop, but we need to go back and repair the damage. We need to help them repair their credit, their credit worthiness. This is why I do not want in the lame duck session when we return after the November elections to allow any talk about some sort of streamlined appeals process. That's what the Secretary talked about today. Even though he has suspended collections, he's talking about streamlining the appeals process. No, we need to settle once and for all those service members who re-upped in good faith, who enlisted again in good faith, believing that those bonuses were theirs, and then told 8 years later or 10 years later that they were ineligible. No, that's not fair. They should be. We shouldn't be collecting against them, and we should make those folks in the last 2 years who've paid substantially, who's paid all of their bonuses back or paid some of them back. We should restore those bonuses.
This brings up a bigger question. Let's look forward, and let's look at the payment of bonuses for retention. Is it a policy that we want to continue to pursue? Is it appropriate to pay bonuses for retention, for re-upping?
Well, you know, I may get myself some trouble here.
Right. I don't know the answer.
I am somewhat of the mindset that that military service should be something that every American.
That's a conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
The way that they all volunteer. Look, I give my full support to people who volunteer to serve our country. But you know, I think we need to really examine military service in our country. I think both rich and poor have an obligation to serve our country.
So, his name is Mark Takano. Yeah. He is a member of the United States Congress representing Riverside County. I'm Brad Pomerance, Charter Local Edition.